All right. I am Dave Klang. I'm here with Gil Parris. Real happy to be here with him.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. He's a great guitarist. Amazing musicians that he plays with, like Randy Brecker, Jeff Lorber. I know you've got Blood, Sweat, and Tears and Dr.
Yeah,
John. I
yeah.
I, I actually just found out that you had some work involved with Dr. John.
I I recorded with him and did live work with him. Both.
Where did you record with him? I'm just curious.
We did stuff at the studios were Acme Mamaroneck and at SIR when we were rehearsing for live shows. Um, you know,
Dr. John's quite the pioneer in like the modern, like,
I mean I could talk about him all day long, but he was a huge influence on me in that he crossed genres very well, and he was able to fit his thing into. I mean, I've heard him play contemporary jazz. I've heard him work with like heavy funk guys and like obviously the New Orleans thing and everything else. And but he was a marvelous artist, a terrific artist.
that's really cool. How long were you touring with him?
I never toured with him.
Okay.
Ever. Only did one-off live dates and recording.
Okay. Very cool. Wow. Yeah. I mean, just kind of being in the funk blues world, when you talk about mixing genres, he's really right in the middle there. And his vocals too are so, like, I feel like I hear so many blues vocalists now, and there's so much Dr. John just like in that delivery. First,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
yeah, that's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. It's so cool that you've gotten to bump shoulders with guys like that. So I know you were telling me earlier that you've done some work and worked on some stuff with Randy Brecker. Have you played any shows with him in the past? Like,
Well, yeah, we did BB King's. I guess that was like 2 years ago, but we also did a concert in Irvington at the Town Hall Theater
okay,
where I had like special guests. But we were actually supposed to be playing together tomorrow at the Berks Jazz Festival. It was the 30th anniversary big band, and Andrew New and Eric Marienthal were directing it, but Randy was trumpet with Rick Braun. And so it's scheduled for next year,
okay.
2021, April.
2021 will be a good year. That's for
It's
sure.
going to be a packed year. Yes. Yeah.
Wow, man. So, you just mentioned Eric Marienthal too. He's like one of the more underrated sax players in the modern world, if you ask me.
Yeah, he's one of the best sax players on the planet. There's some YouTubes of us from last time we played at Berks. If you punch our names in, but yeah, he's incredible.
I'll
Honestly.
I'll include that link in there.
Oh, great.
I'll
Yeah.
definitely link everyone to some Gil Parris music, because
Thanks.
if you haven't heard Gil play, man, it's really something special. I was I went to see you last summer at the Iridium.
Yeah, that's right. I really appreciate you guys coming out too. You know, uh, that's one of my favorite places to play. We did something like I think 12 dates there last year, and it's a great place. We moved our thing from BB King's because the main room closed,
Yeah, it's sad there,
and
unfortunately.
we moved to Iridium. But you know, God, I hope everything's gonna be all right with the New York venues.
Yeah, it's my mind goes to every venue owner I've ever had something to do with, and all these places that, like, I play up in Albany a lot too. And you become comfortable in these certain places that are, they feel like not I kind of home to you, once you've gone somewhere and it's a routine to be playing somewhere. And like
Yes.
most of those places, or a lot of places, are small businesses, and it's really we're gonna be looking at a strange kind of change in the whole music scene, just because of
Yeah.
the shift in how business is gonna happen. Um, I don't know if you're on social media a whole lot, but now what everyone's doing is doing the live stream, since they can't go out and perform live. they're doing live streams of themselves, singing their catalog or whatever it might be.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I have some people I know I'm not inherently a singer, and I don't think you are too.
No, I don't sing. No.
So it kind of puts us in a bit of a weird space. There are some people. I have a friend that's, he plays guitar in a band, and he does sing in that band, but he certainly wouldn't tout himself as a vocalist. He was just kind of improvising and putting it out there for people. But it's tough, man. People just, you get into it becomes your lifestyle, and now all of a sudden, the brakes have been put on that. So much respect to everyone that's keeping it rolling and keeping a positive mindset, because that's the important thing to do now.
I know that's the biggest challenge. Is we were already becoming isolated and weird, so now it's a funny thing. Social media, it's a funny thing.
I'll say it's made me kind of reevaluate, and I'm sure most people, now that you have to stay home a lot more, you're evaluating what you're doing in that home environment and how you put things together. I set up a whole recording rig for myself here that I didn't really. I had to stop going to the recording studio so much, and it's right near my house, so I never really had that going. But now it's really cranking. But let's get, now that we're talking about gear a little bit, let's talk about your guitar, Gil. How long have you been with Reverend for?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you, here's like the little headstock. There we go.
Beautiful.
This is actually the prototype of the first one. I've been with them, I think, 10 years now, maybe a little longer. Yeah, probably about maybe 12, 13. And but they started making a signature model after I did some bigger shows for them. These all-star guitar nights in LA, and it's great. And we're looking at, there are going to be some big changes this year. Hopefully things won't be put off too much, but it's been a great thing all around.
So I don't want to struggle you too much to whip your guitar around there, but so when you had your custom guitar made, what were some things that you were really particular about having on your first custom made model?
Versatility. That's like number one, because I play so many different genres. Something I wanted to be able to dial in, like a humbucker sound, a warm, fat, jazz, neo soul sound, and then be able to get like a country twang without too much effort. That kind of.
Yeah, I got you. So that really requires a variety of pickups and
EQ. There's also like a bass contour thing. So there are things that, it's important.
That's really cool. So you were saying you play a variety of styles. One thing that I'll say about you, and it really stuck out in my mind. I remember particularly, what was it, the Night Court theme that you
right? Yeah. I love TV themes, man. I just love them.
Yeah, that really is one of the things that, from when I saw you months ago, really just stuck out in my mind as a unique thing in your set. And you wouldn't often expect to, because you're certainly playing in a jazz fusion in that idiom, and you wouldn't expect to hear some odd TV themes maybe from a few years ago.
The writing, I feel like the writing back then, especially in the 70s and 80s, was high quality, and those melodies kind of stand the test of time, whether it was Barney Miller or Mission Impossible. What a great theme that. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's as good as any other writing. And the funny thing is when you play those tunes and you interpret them, it strikes a chord with people, because everybody was watching TV back then. It was, it was the only thing you could do. And there were only 8 channels. So,
it's a real cult. It kind of glues everyone together, or makes everyone kind of has that commonality of knowing.
Yeah, sure.
Night Court theme, or what is it? Do you play the Sex and the City theme still?
We did that. We did Mission Impossible, Frasier, Taxi sometimes, but great Bob James.
So like when you play those tunes, like are you trying to bring a stylistic difference there, or
Yeah, yeah, sure. So we take some liberties, you know. Sometimes we'll just allude to the melody a little bit, like Sanford and Son, or we'll do like a medley, you know, and then take it as a vehicle for improvisation, you know. And it's kind of a cool thing because the audience is around for the ride. It's not so esoteric that it's a bunch of jazz the whole time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I gotcha. It's I know in what I do, like I do the more of a jam band kind of thing. So you know, every group is supposed to have a strong catalog of originals that you can always pull out something different. But when you're going in front of new people every night, they're not going to know the fact that, ooh, this is my, the eighth original song I'm playing tonight, or whatever it might be. You know, they care
Yeah,
about if you're good. And then we noticed, if you pull out a recognizable tune for someone, then you're going to have everyone singing along. So there's a lot of power to that.
no
And
doubt,
you
no
got to
doubt.
know there's a tasteful way to do it, certainly.
Yeah, what's worked for me is kind of it's like 25 original, 25 of like maybe the themes, and then I usually do about half like guitar oriented covers. So it's almost like I can be like a cover type band, but I really interpret the stuff. So I would never play, I don't know, say Little Wing or Europa straight up. I always like do something, change harmonies, change grooves, you know, and that kind of
Yeah,
thing. So
those harmonies that you add into it definitely bring it to a full, like you feel someone else is interpreting it a little bit, while
right,
you're holding on to the original idea, but it's literally it's addition, it's a great
yeah.
thing. um yeah. Who are the guys? I mean, I don't know if the next time you'll have a solo show, but like what's been your kind of regular lineup that you've been playing with recently?
Well, the core lineup I think that you saw at Iridium was Kip Sophus was playing bass, and then Joe Pidio I think was playing drums, maybe Matt King on keys, and Jessie Lambiase was probably adding vocals like half the time.
Yep.
Um, and then we have some original tunes that I wrote with her, um, kind of in the I don't know, sort of Tedeschi Trucks vibe, but maybe a little jazzier at times. You know,
Really cool. Really cool.
thanks.
Um, yeah, I mean, certainly Tedeschi Trucks is quite the inspiration for a lot of people that are writing songs these days. And I mean, Derek Trucks, when it comes to just guitar tone and giving
Oh,
you
he's got a great tone, yeah.
pure and clean and straightforward. So there's a lot to take away from that. And their whole band too is just full of amazing musicians.
Yep, sure.
I'm kicking myself every time I miss them at the Beacon. Um, but that's a beautiful room, and there's a lot of great stuff that happens there. Uh,
Yeah, sure. Thank
um,
God. Thank God that place is still there.
yeah, that I actually got to see. I got to see one. That was the last show that I got to see before everything kind of stopped. I went to see, just kind of on a whim, a band called Widespread Panic.
Yeah, sure.
And they're an interesting band. Jimmy Herring, though, if you're familiar with him.
Of course. Of
Oh,
course.
oh my goodness,
Yeah.
man. His solo music has really captivated me since the summer.
Right.
So that's what got me to go out and see them. But he really just can.
I mean, I remember him from Aquarium Rescue Unit and even long before that, and then Jazz is Dead. But yeah, I had heard about him.
So I'll ask you, just kind of because we're in that realm. Like, so I mean, I'm very much so wrapped up and doing my best to show my face in the jam band world these days.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to me how there are certainly parts of those two worlds where there isn't a whole lot of crossover between the jazz and like the more rock kind of stuff. But Jimmy Herring comes to mind. He did a tour with John McLaughlin on his last tour.
Yeah.
There are certain people that I guess kind of find their way. Improvisational music, I guess, is the common theme there, which is a big part of both.
Yeah, kind of. It's it's a fickle. The genre thing is fickle. I've really never belonged. I'm not accepted anywhere, which I kind of like because musically it really helped me. I was able to play with amazing jazz people, amazing blues people, and I grew a lot musically from that. The
Yeah.
hard part is in terms of booking, like sometimes certain agents won't know where to put me. So I've done smooth jazz festivals. I've done jazz festivals. I've been on blues bills. And then, mostly there's that whole guitar oriented on it too. So it's the jam band thing can be fickle. It's almost like um I like too much playing or much skill can be considered suspect. You know what I mean? It's like, and I don't mean that as a diss at all, but you know, it's kind of hard to say where some things I thought would really work in the jam band genre didn't really fly.
That's interesting. It's interesting that
Mm.
you mentioned that. One of the best, I think maybe the best performance I've ever seen from a guitarist was John Schofield playing with Phil Lesh.
Right. Hmm. That's
So
very cool.
I guess I don't know. It's a weird thing too, because like as a big or as a moderate deadhead for someone my age, like
Mhm.
I've looked into like people have written about Miles Davis sharing a bill with the Grateful Dead,
Right.
and there's just kind of a different culture. Like Miles Davis was like, yeah, I feel like people are just kind of like talking, partying, and they don't really. There's a certain jazz commands a certain kind of attention
Yeah.
that just is inherently there with it, and like I met you in Tarrytown at the Jazz Forum there,
That's
um,
right. Yeah, I
and
remember that.
that's a
You were working there, weren't
yeah,
you?
bussing tables, man.
Yeah.
That was quite the gig.
Yeah.
But at that place, it's you need to really fully you fully immerse yourself in the sorry, what's the word? In the venue, and the venue is completely a part of jazz as a whole. You know
Right.
what I mean? And it sucks in a certain way if you're in that room and people are talking,
Right.
whereas like I'm happy if I'm playing in front of a big crowd and some dude's just kind of shouting in the back. It's not ruining my experience there.
I love both. I got it. So because I played it like Kitano, which is exactly like Mark's room, jazz form, or the Blue Note, which is like a little bit higher up in terms of like volume and people talking. Although it's still, you know, and then you have BB King's where people are talking and drinking at the bar, and so I love it all. That's the kind of, and I like being able to do those different rooms. A lot of people can only do one kind of room.
Yeah.
That's and you know, and as you know, it's like I run the Wednesday jam at Ron Black's. It's like I take the small stuff with the big stuff. I love that. I mean, it's fun. Like you guys came out, and then you came to Iridium, and there's a nice sense of community, and I like the whole thing.
I know what you mean. It's really it's a great thing that you can go to a place like the Iridium and then literally, go, what is it? Ron Black's is in White Plains.
Yeah, Crush from Sam Ash. Right.
So you can, you're just White Plains too is such a melting pot. Like it's outside of New York City. It's there's so many. It's like one of the biggest towns outside of the city right there,
Yeah.
and there's so many people that you can mingle with and that you can play with, and you're just opening yourself up to making so many awesome connections there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really amazing. It's a common thing, kind of. It's nice to find good communities and to enjoy yourself in those. And it's unfortunate now that everyone has to kind of take a step away from that. But I think we're gonna all go back with a greater sense of appreciation for the music scenes that we've had to walk away from.
I agree with that. I just hope that the venues can hang in there.
Yeah.
That's my main concern.
Hopefully it doesn't take too large of a toll on those owners and the groups that want to come in and bring music and good energy.
Yep.
I'll bring it around to talking about your experiences getting signed to a major label.
Yeah.
Because that's really, I mean, obviously that was in '97.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Oh, you did your homework. Yeah, that's when I got signed, yeah. And, I mean, I caught the tail end of some real good years, where you'd get a budget to record every year, and there were just a lot of things that happened. There's this sort of fallacy that, the label stole from everybody and it was a terrible business. That's a ton of horseshit.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you signed some stupid deal where you didn't retain your publishing or something, I mean, everybody back then had lawyers and everything was kind of put into place. There were certain things that were not recoupable that, like you would get mechanicals and things happen, so that stuff, I was a big fan of it. And now it's tough because they're still there, but it's way harder to get
And maybe even, I don't know what it was like in '97, but you hear about in the '70s how if a band got started, it's like, oh, we have to get signed,
Of course, because if not, you are either in the business or you are not. So either your record is in stores and you're making records, or you're not. You're not a musician. That's it. And you know what? There still kind of is some truth to that. I mean, it's changed a lot, but the truth is, the definition of a professional is getting paid. And back then, like, the label would give you money, you'd make the record, you'd keep some of the money. There were, again, mechanicals paid. Back then, there were significant airplay royalties before streaming and everything. So there, there is truth to that.
So do you feel like at the time that you had all of your, because I mean, you certainly, you hear stories and you just said it yourself, how it wasn't such a like a taking advantage of you kind of situation. Maybe a young, like a 16-year-old pop singer who's getting signed for the first time, maybe is put in a place where her manager and whoever's signing them it's a bit of a battle of wits trying to get the best, the upper hand on somebody. But do you feel like, sorry, go on. What were you gonna say?
No. I mean, you're talking about like at a success level where it really, it doesn't matter. It's like hearing like, Billy Joel's brother-in-law manage him and rip them off or something. I mean, he's still, it's not like it's gonna, kill him.
Yeah.
And after years of records on Columbia, it's that kind of thing adds up, and there's catalog, there's back catalog and publishing, and I just feel like the post-internet music business, the only people that really like it didn't work in the old music business, because it's work harder for less now. I mean, you really,
Yeah.
how are you gonna do it? It's very difficult. And yes, you can do it. And I'm a big supporter of young talent. You know that. And championing it. But it's hard. It's really difficult now. And you can't crowdfund every record every year. You can't, that kind of stuff.
Crowdfunding is just a tough art as a whole, because it's difficult to just ask people for money, I find.
Especially for something as devalued as a CD or a record, or whatever. That's why, I mean, and granted, I get it. You got to bring them into the whole experience, and maybe you'll add some incentives. Have them come to a rehearsal, like sign a T-shirt.
Cool stuff.
But so anyway.
Yeah, I guess we're just kind of seeing people are trying hard to move revenue, or it came to a halt at a certain point because of essentially people could get any music for free,
right?
And the money stopped pouring in, and it was tough record labels needed to start kind of incentivizing touring for the larger acts. And if
Right.
I wouldn't think that would make any sense for someone like you to do, because so much of it is the live performance, that
I
element.
remember back in the day, we did some opening touring, and we would do a show, like, let's say they paid us like $750, and somebody from the label would come and give us another check to double it to pay the band. So then we'd play one set, and it would be like 1,500 or something instead of and that. But now you've got bands going out for like nothing. There's some of them are paying to play to
Yeah,
open up. I mean, that's.
that, man.
I'm going, what the, how is musician as a vocation going to last if that's the new paradigm?
Yeah, it's weird, I guess when I was, in the earlier 2000s, a lot of pop music was entirely shifting away from performance. Once computer software got to a point where anyone could make a beat, and it just kind of became so easy that making beats became music as a whole, which is a very incomplete way of putting something together. But I think now, like, Anderson .Paak is someone that comes to mind. He's a great singer and a great drummer, and is getting a lot of notoriety in the popular music world. Thundercat is someone that comes to mind. He was playing at the Blue Note, or maybe a couple residencies there, and is like all over like Kendrick Lamar's records, and has his own records that do well. So
right, but you're also talking about people that have corporate behind them already. So
this is true.
I mean, you could talk about Kendrick and Robert Glasper and stuff, but they have records on Blue Note. And, once corporate comes into the building, everything changes.
Oh yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is that at that corporate level, it's good that someone like Robert Glasper can get involved in the hip hop world in a true way, where he's really performing with people, and it, like what I was saying about making beats, like someone that maybe went, I guess maybe Talib Kweli or Common or some rappers that you could see Robert Glasper with. If you just like those guys, you can now go see them perform, and the musicianship that's alongside of it really adds so much to it. Even for me as a young kid, when I was young, I liked Kanye West a lot, and I went and saw him perform, and there was just like there was a live band, there was a whole production element that made me realize how complete it was, and how much bigger it could be than just like your small, whatever you're running, Fruity Loops or
Garage.
Yeah, like, so I was just like, whoa, like there's really performance that goes on here. And that's, I've met some people that like are interested in performing in the hip hop world, and they should be respected. But getting into the jazz world and the fusion world, that whole performance element is what kind of is the most important thing, really. It's all about how good I don't want to say it's all about how good your band is, but like you got to have a good band to make good music in the fusion world, or in the funk world, or in the blues.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I always thought that playing was the prerequisite. I mean, I still feel that way. I might be a dinosaur in that respect, but
That's I agree. Like a lot of technical jobs, I've applied for jobs at studios, or just been on the phone calling studios looking for jobs, and that's a question. They don't need me to play a lick of an instrument, but
right.
they want someone that has an ear for production and understands music, really, and playing an instrument is really a prerequisite for that.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that totally.
I'll turn the page and ask you, when you first got started, were there any moments that you can remember being like starstruck, or like you got brought into a room to play with someone that like dropped your jaw and you had to hold your composure? Do you have any memories like that?
Oh, I mean, I still kind of do. I'm a big fan of music. I started out as a record collector. So, I was a little kid collecting sides. and I still collect recordings. So stuff that's like not on YouTube and not I you know I have to have you by here sometime, but there's just thousands and thousands of recordings, and so I mean everybody. I'm lucky I got to meet pretty much all my heroes and play with a great majority of them. So I mean, there's still more,
Have
God,
you ever been on stage with Donald Fagen?
no, but I played with Donald.
You
I
play-
actually, it's funny because about it was like 2 years ago, somebody called me and said, Donald's here and he wants to play, and it was a small get together at a house, and we ended up playing all night. He played piano and I played guitar. So
Oh man, that's so cool. I got to see him upstate in Saratoga at the Saratoga Performing Arts Center.
yeah, great.
Um, it was funny, he's certainly known for like his sarcasm a little bit. It was one of the most humid days I've ever experienced in my life. He gets on the mic like, "Oh man, hot day, nasty," and then they go on and play a bunch of other stuff. He probably introduced the band there, and then like 2 songs later, like, "Oh man, hot day, nasty." It's like sticking it right to you, but it was just the best band. I don't want to say.
Oh, sure.
I hate to like say the best, because it's so subjective and you might your mood might change with the moment. Have you ever crossed paths with a fellow named Jason Crosby? Just because best band came up.
No.
He's another guy. He's originally from Long Island, but I guess he lives on the West Coast now, so it's probably hard to network and play with those people.
Well, I work with a lot of West Coast guys, but I don't know him.
He plays a whole myriad of instruments. I'm hoping to get him involved in this, but I saw him at a little place in Nassau County called Still Partners, and I was expecting I don't know, I didn't have high expectations for the show, but he came right on. He actually played a song. I discovered it through the studio jams, the song.
Right.
You're a big part of the studio jams.
Yeah, to date, I'm the most recorded guitar player that they
That's
have.
awesome.
And I caught the tail end of the show. It was on BET, actually. So the first episode I did was I saw it on BET, and then that was it. And then it became a YouTube thing. But
wow, I didn't even know that it was on BET at one point.
It was the most popular show on BET at one point.
So the tune that I heard this fellow Jason Crosby playing was by O'Teal Burbridge.
Right.
It was called Butter Biscuit.
Okay.
And they opened with it, and it was just like, I don't know. Was
O'Teal playing bass?
No, he wasn't. It was this guy Jason's brother. But it just blew my doors off. Like, I didn't have high expectations for the band, and they just came right in and were playing a really, I don't want to, an involved song, an intricate kind of funky fusion song, and it just blew my doors off. I figured I'd ask if you'd ever heard of Jason Crosby, because he's
I will definitely check him out. I gotta say that show's fun and challenging because nothing's really, you don't really discuss much. You just go in there. And of course, there were guys that I worked with before, but there were also people I was meeting for the first time. Sometimes we knew each other for Reputation or something, or it was first meeting. And I'm proud of a lot of the work I did on the show.
Where did you go to record that? Was that in New York?
No. There's one studio. There were 2 studios in Philly. One was in Bethlehem, and then in Orleans, and then also in Syracuse. We shot a couple at a place like in Subcat in Syracuse, a few episodes there.
Gotcha. Okay, so you were traveling around for that.
Well, what we would do is we would do like a festival, like we'd say we do the Syracuse Jazz and Wine Festival the night before, sleep and get up at like 6 in the morning and go to the studio. So, if we look like really hungover, it was tough.
It feels like 75% of studio sessions happen like that. Just like.
Well, it's amazing that we played a festival the night before. I played with Mike Clark, the drummer, and Michael Wolf and Kip Sophus. We did the jazz and wine thing. We got something to eat, and then I think the lobby call was like 7 a.m. to go shoot studio jam. So it's tough.
Yeah, I've heard, I don't know, there's those early call times after gigs can really be rough, but
Yes.
that's a really great opportunity to get to rub noses with other guys and to have it be on a platform that's so well broadcasted, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something else, man. And that you really put your exact kind of, is it Europa? That might be.
Yeah. That's one of their most viewed videos. I think it's up to like 350,000 or something right now. But that was fun. That was really a good one.
And that's a real authentic, that's really showing people what you do in a true
Right.
way, So that's perfect. That's the best.
Thank you.
That's a
Thanks so
great
much.
showcase of your abilities, man.
Appreciate it.
As is every live show. I can't wait until live music is just rolling again.
I hear you. It's, I'll tell you, the touring thing has become harder. When I was doing the Blood, Sweat, and Tears thing, which was 2000, 2001, it was a lot easier before 9/11. You used to, flights weren't overbooked. You could get like a whole row to yourself a lot of the times. There was no
Wow.
hassle getting your guitar on the plane. I would take my guitar, my effects, my carry-on, and that'd be it. I'd be done. So, but now, and who knows what's going to happen, past COVID, and it's like it's been more difficult and more difficult. So,
Yeah. A lot of people, I remember I was just kind of reading around. It was a thread where someone was saying like, yeah, after 9/11, it obviously had a huge effect on society, but not on our industry or our business, the music business, as much directly, because a lot of maybe in New York, you were a musician in New York while that happened, so
right,
you
yeah,
can talk about the culture change there. But certainly, if you were in Nashville, you probably didn't have more than a gig or two canceled after 9/11.
right, right.
Whereas everyone, I don't, probably around the world, like the 99% of gigs plus are nixed now, which is crazy.
Everything. There's
Yeah.
nothing. It's man. When you just think about it, it's wow. Like there's no sporting event. There's no jazz trio in the corner. There's nothing. So I mean,
Yeah.
but
My heart goes out to a lot of those people. I should really I want to reach out to Mark and Ellen actually, because
yeah,
they're venue owners and
yeah,
they put their livelihoods on the line for that place and for the well-being of the genre that they love.
yeah, yeah.
Which
They're great people. They're good old friends. Yeah.
I'm really lucky in a certain sense. I certainly didn't have my favorite position of all time while I was working there, but to just see, I heard Mark talk a little bit. I really need to get him on here, but I heard him talking a little bit about like putting on like jazz in the Berkshires and like
yeah.
how it was so many years of trying different things and it didn't, nothing catches on immediately, and
Right.
Mark has really stuck with it over his career, and
Sure.
I think now he's at a point with that venue. And there's still, it's been a little bit since I went back there after I stopped working there to see Joey DeFrancesco.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I really see that place. I follow them on social media, and they're going strong, and they have an honest mission, which I just respect a whole lot.
David,
Um,
David Sanborn calls it the little engine that could. I love that.
there you go. That's a great thing to call it. Well, I'm looking at my notes, and I feel like we covered just about everything, and this has been like a healthy length of an episode.
Terrific.
Um, so I'll cut the recording off there. Thank you so
Great.
much. Thanks for being
My
here.
my pleasure.
Um,
That's one of the things I like about this business is meeting new people and making new friends. We met at Mark's place, and he came out to Ron's, and um, and iridium, and that's one of the things I love about it. And you got
Yeah.
to keep that going.